The night sky over Sanaa, Yemen, lit up with the terrifying glow of explosions on March 23, 2025. The United States had launched airstrikes targeting a residential building allegedly linked to the Houthi movement. The aftermath was devastating. One person lay dead, 15 others injured, their lives forever scarred by the sudden violence. The U.S. claimed the building housed key Houthi operatives and served as a command center for their operations. However, the human cost of these strikes, particularly civilian casualties, raises serious questions about the proportionality and legality of such actions. These strikes were not isolated incidents. They were part of a larger U.S. military campaign in Yemen that had escalated dramatically in recent days. Since March 15, the U.S. military has conducted a series of operations targeting Houthi infrastructure and personnel, significantly ramping up its military presence in the region. The U.S. claims these actions are a necessary response to Houthi aggression, but critics argue they are fueling a conflict that has already caused immense suffering and instability. The U.S. government has been quick to justify its military actions in Yemen, citing a concerning rise in Houthi aggression. According to the Department of Defense, Houthi forces have launched over 170 missile and drone attacks on U.S. warships since 2023. Additionally, there have been 145 reported attacks on commercial vessels, jeopardizing international shipping lanes and threatening global trade. The U.S. argues that these attacks, coupled with the Houthis' ties to Iran, necessitate a strong military response to protect U.S. interests and maintain stability in the region. The U.S. claims its objective is not to engage in a full-blown war, but to re-establish deterrence against future Houthi attacks. The recent airstrikes, they argue, are part of a broader strategy to degrade the Houthis' military capabilities and force them to the negotiating table. However, many experts question whether this strategy will succeed, pointing to the Houthis' resilience and the complex geopolitical dynamics at play in Yemen. The Houthi response to the U.S. airstrikes was swift and fierce, signaling a dangerous escalation in the conflict. In a brazen act of retaliation, the Houthis launched a Palestine-II hypersonic ballistic missile targeting Ben Gurion Airport in Israel, a key U.S. ally. While the missile was intercepted by the Israeli Defense Forces, the attack caused widespread panic and disrupted air traffic for over half an hour. This incident highlights the Houthis' willingness to expand the conflict beyond Yemen's borders and target U.S. interests directly. In addition to the missile attack, Houthi forces also engaged in direct confrontations with U.S. naval vessels in the Red Sea, including the USS Harry S. Truman. These clashes involving missiles and drones lasted for several hours and underscored the Houthis' determination to defend themselves against what they perceive as U.S. aggression. Houthi spokesman Yahya Saraya claimed responsibility for the attacks, framing them as acts of retaliation for the U.S. airstrikes and expressions of solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza. The recent escalation of violence in Yemen, coupled with the Houthi attacks on Israel, has sent shockwaves throughout the region, raising fears of a wider conflict. The situation in Gaza, where Israeli attacks have resulted in numerous Palestinian casualties, further complicates the situation. The Houthis have explicitly linked their actions to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, demonstrating how interconnected these conflicts are and how easily they can spill over. The U.S. airstrikes and the subsequent Houthi retaliation have significantly heightened tensions in the region, jeopardizing U.S. interests and threatening regional stability. The potential for miscalculation and further escalation is high, risking a humanitarian catastrophe in Yemen and dragging regional powers into a broader conflict. The international community must urge all parties to exercise restraint, seek a diplomatic solution, and prioritize the protection of civilians caught in the crossfire.